These are great papers right here. Look at the level of style that has been included. Look at all of the sentence openers, depending on, where the students are. But using that as something to motivate them, something that they can strive for.
Hello, and welcome to the Arts of Language podcast with Andrew Pudewa, founder of the Institute for Excellence in Writing, or as many like to say, IEW. My name is Julie Walker, and I'm honored to serve Andrew and IEW as the Chief Marketing Officer. Our goal is to equip teachers and teaching parents with methods and materials which will aid them in training their students to become confident and competent communicators and thinkers. So, Andrew, this episode brings a bit of nostalgia. Because we're going to talk about the Magnum Opus and Dr. Webster's idea of what a Magnum Opus is. So could you tell that story?
Yeah, so, I think like a lot of teachers, he figured out that kids like to be honored for their efforts. And when he was teaching in the university, he would actually create the textbook for the course from the collected best papers of his previous course's students, and then he would make them buy it. These are in the old days when you had to mimeograph or ditto and make books like that. But he said, if you want an A in the course, you have to write this well. And then he could use those both for a content and content analysis discussion, but moreover for a structure and style exemplars,
right?
Basically. So that's when I first heard it. And then he talked later about how he did this when he was teaching in schools, and he would have the students in his class at the end of the year find their favorite paper, the one they thought was the best, pull it out, rewrite it one more time to just polish it up as perfect and good as it could be, and then turn it in, and then he would get someone to type it up because kids didn't have typewriters in those days. He would get someone to type it up, and then they would publish it, and that would be the great work of his students for that year, and that would actually go into the school library. And he called it Magnum Opus because that means great work in Latin. I was a little disturbed when I started to study Latin because I thought opus, that's a US, that should be a masculine noun. Magnum with a UM would be neuter, but opus is actually one of those odd words that is a neuter noun, plural. Us, ibus, ibus. The us is, and I think it's plural or singular. I'm not sure, but it is neuter. So anyway, that's why if anyone out there has a little bit of Latin just to be dangerous to themselves, you can rest assured that this is correct Latin.
Oh, good.
At least as far as I've been able to figure it out.
Right.
So what was fun, he said, was for the younger siblings of his students to be able to go into the library and see their older brother or sister's paper in the bound book of the great work from the previous years.
Yeah.
So that's where it came from. And then, I long noted that kids enjoy seeing their work in print. And so when I first started running around teaching the TWSS, I would talk about this, as one way to help motivate kids. They'll get that one paper, polish it up, make it as good as you can get it, and then have a school journal or have a family website and post writing from your kids or put together a little magazine, right? So I think a lot of, schools and groups have kind of done that. I actually met in Saskatchewan when I was there earlier this year, a Mennonite school faculty, like the whole faculty came. So they weren't homeschooling, it was a homeschool convention. They came to see me and they gave me their monthly magazine that was pretty much entirely compositions written by the students in their school. So that was a delight to see. So I've seen various versions of it. And then, of course, we have ours.
We have ours. And I am so pleased that we have this legacy of Dr. Webster's living on, even though he's no longer with us. He passed away in 2025 this year. And so we continue by publishing the Magnum Opus Magazine, and we are working on volume 16 as we speak, and that should be available in January. And we have with us today as a guest, although I did tease her a little bit earlier, she's not really a guest because she works for us. So Lizabeth, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So Lizabeth works in many capacities. She is an online instructor, part of our customer support team. She's a customer support specialist, and she helps the editing team, and she is the editor of the Magnum Opus Magazine.
She sounds like one busy girl.
She's a busy girl, and she's a grandmother.
Oh.
So, Lizabeth, I know that you've been doing this for a few years. What part of being the managing editor of the Magnum Opus Magazine intrigues you and delights you the most?
I mean, absolutely reading student papers, and I see a lot of the same names. So we do have frequent flyers that submit pieces, and it's fun to see them submit over the years and watch their writing grow. So in the online classes, I teach level C, so I really only ever see level C papers. But I've been able to watch some of these kids over the last 3 years go from, level B to C or level A to level B, and have watched that growth in them. One of my favorite things is when I compare papers from the same assignment and see how students can come up with something completely different, especially when you get like Unit 5 writing from pictures, or the Unit 3 stories when they are doing a variation on a story. And I know that's the Tom Sawyer story, but they've done something completely different. And so those are probably my two favorite parts of being the managing editor of that magazine.
That's fun because one of the criticisms, I don't hear it much anymore, but maybe 15, 20 years ago, one of the criticisms of people who didn't necessarily have any real experience with our structure and style program is their worry that if you give the same assignment with the same checklist and even the same source text to a bunch of kids, they'll all sound like each other. And yet we find that is pretty much not a problem at all. They can be wild and crazy and different even within using the same structure and style guidelines.
Exactly. I just truly love reading those papers, and I've posted before. I've done a comparison. I think I did one in the magazine a couple of years ago where I actually posted two papers that were from the same assignment just to show how different kids approach it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Andrew, yesterday we recorded a podcast. It was one of our Ask Andrew Anythings that I think it might be coming out after we release this one, because this one is coming out the beginning of August, and our Ask Andrew Anything, I think, is after that, the following week. So you'll have to stay tuned to hear what Andrew actually reads a story from our Structure and Style for Students Year 2 Level A. And it wasn't until he was halfway through the story that I recognized what assignment that he was reading from. And that was really fun. And I really loved this student's creative take on, because he had dinner.
She wrote about me having dinner with a granddaughter.
Yes.
At the hotel where the convention was, and the fish not being completely cooked.
Well, the fish
the fish were alive.
The fish were very fresh.
They were very fresh, yeah. So what do you think are some of the potential uses of the Magnum Opus magazine? Because you put a lot of effort into it. We print a full color, beautiful 70-page one to give out and to send to people who want it. Other than benefiting the kids who get to open it up and see their own composition on the page. What are some other uses you see this?
I think one of the things I would hope is that instructors would be using it in their classrooms as models for those specific units. So when they start Unit 3, they can pull out the Magnum Opus magazines and look for pieces that other students have written, doing even a breakdown of, okay, let's look at this. What are the characters and setting in this one? Where is the conflict? Like, did the student actually meet the criteria? So it's a great way to have an exemplar or an example for the students to look at. Also great to motivate the students for, this is what you can shoot for.
Mm-hmm.
So these are great papers right here. Look at the level of style that has been included. Look at all of the sentence openers depending on, where the students are. But using that as something to motivate them, something that they can strive for. And one thing that I have done with it is to kind of reverse engineer a paragraph. So take this and now take that, and what do you think their keyword outline looks like? Because especially for students who struggle with writing keyword outlines, sometimes thinking backwards can help them to move forward. So that's another possible idea that parents or instructors in a classroom, either way, can use them. They're also great to just like sit around at night and read some great stories if you're looking for some fun reading material, or you've got to go inside because there's a thunderstorm, bring out the Magnum Opus and read a story or two while you're waiting.
Spoken as someone from Tennessee.
That's right.
So, Lizabeth, speak to who is eligible to submit work to magnumopusmagazine.com/submit. I mean, we're not just accepting any student's composition. We're looking for something very specific. Can you speak to that?
Right. We are looking for submissions from students who are using IEW courses. Whether and beyond that as well, because I know we do have a lot of instructors out there who create their own lessons. So it doesn't have to necessarily be, they're using U.S. history-based writing or they're using SSS 1B, but they've created a Unit 7 lesson for their students and provided them with, the prompt or whatever. So as long as the submission is following the model of a particular structural unit, they can submit their pieces to Magnum Opus.
And probably, not that they would need to submit their checklist, but probably are following a stylistic checklist.
Right. So when I'm looking at a piece, I'm thinking about the structural model, and I'm looking to see if the student, first of all, they used a topic and clincher sentence, or if they followed the title rule, or if they followed the story sequence model, like those types of things I'm looking for. I'm also looking for great variety of sentence openers. Those are the papers that have strong dress ups, strong sentence openers included, decorations appropriate for that level of where that student should be at that point. That's really what I'm looking for when I'm selecting pieces to publish.
I wrote an article years ago, Andrew, that was included in our Arts of Language Magalog, talking about the value of performance for students to do their very best. And I talk about recitals because, my boys grew up playing music, and recitals were a big part of that. If they were just taking lessons without a goal to play in front of an audience, what's the point, right? And same, they also did musical theater. I think we recently were at the NCFCA National Championships, and those students had been competing all year to be excellent speakers and debaters, and how incredible that was, and that level of competition. And I see the Magnum Opus Magazine as an opportunity for students to see, am I good enough to get published? And I love the idea of teachers doing this for their classroom as well, because, that's ultimately what Dr. Webster wanted. But for us to be able to do this for anyone across the United States and really even around the world, that they can submit what they believe is their best. So if it's not published, Lizabeth, when people submit things to you, do you let them know whether or not they're going to be published, or do they just have to wait and see?
So I send out an email when they send in their submission. So usually once a week or every other week, I'll go through and I'll email anybody who's submitted. And then when their piece is chosen for publication in either the e-newsletter or the print magazine, they will get an email saying your piece has been chosen. Make sure you're subscribed, all that fun
Right.
stuff. So they do get notified if their piece is chosen.
So you mentioned two different ways that we publish students' great work. One is the actual magazine, the print magazine that we make available at conventions. We include a Magnum Opus magazine with every single order, as you know, along with some other materials and some great curriculum. We include a Magnum Opus magazine. But now we have an e-newsletter. And how often does the e-newsletter come out?
We publish one almost every month. I take a couple of months off, but we do one pretty much every month, and we focus on one particular unit each month. We have a couple of other things that we will do. One, like this month's coming out, is the writing contest winners. We're going to have a poetry one, but most of the time it is just the writing units.
Got it. So for the fall of 2025, your Unit 2 publication will come out in October?
Correct.
Right. So all you parents, and Lizabeth has told me this before, and Andrew, this may surprise you, but the fewest entries she gets is for Unit 2.
I would guess that is because parents perceive or kids perceive, well, it's the beginning of the year, I don't know that much yet, or, well, this is just kind of retelling the same thing. I haven't been very creative, but that's okay. And, we can have fewer Unit 2s than other units. What we are trying, of course, to show is a model or several examples at different age levels for all 9 of the units. And, I like the fact that we have some of the offshoots like response to literature as well as poetry. So hopefully we'll see more variety in there.
So can I read one?
If you want to.
China's Delicacy. This is a Unit 2 from SSS 1A. Scorpions are not insects. They are arachnids. They have 2 pinchers, 8 legs, and a barbed tail. There are over 2,000 different species. Every continent except Antarctica has scorpions. Every species of scorpions is venomous, but only about 30 can kill people. They sting and paralyze their prey. Scorpions can live off little food or air. Very tough scorpions can survive in a freezer overnight. The babies climb and ride on their mother's back. In China, grilled or fried giant scorpions are sold in food shop as a delicacy. And one of the things that we do in this video is we have a video of you actually eating scorpion in China.
I did.
Which was really fun.
I stood there and I had 3. They weren't giant. They were maybe 2 inches, not huge. And there were 3 of them on a stick. I don't remember how much it cost, maybe $5 or something. People have asked me, what did it taste like? And it's hard to describe, to make a comparison, but the idea that came to my mind is barbecued sawdust.
Oh, gosh.
Of course, I haven't really eaten barbecued sawdust, but it was maybe a little crunchier. But I don't know. The Chinese say if you eat scorpions, you'll get power.
Yeah, well.
But I don't think I would go out of my way to do that again. It wasn't particularly lovely.
Well, and you ate all 3 of them.
Of
I
course.
remember that.
Well, I'm going to get my money's worth.
Yes, never would I ever.
Well, the real value wasn't in the nutritiousness of the scorpion. It was in the traction I get on being able to send the picture of me eating scorpions.
Yes, exactly.
Out. So sometimes kids write me letters and things, and if I respond, I will print that picture and sign it and send it to them.
Very fun. Very fun. So, Lizabeth, every year we also do a writing contest, and we open this to everyone, whether or not they're IEW students, but we can kind of imagine that the IEW students perform better.
We actually have some winners who have never taken IEW
Oh,
classes before.
interesting. So that's news to me. I did not know that. This year, 2025, we usually announce the contest in March, and they have until the end of April to submit their entries, and then takes us a few weeks to review all of them. And this year, we've never had so many. How many did we actually have this year, Elizabeth?
1,600 students submitted papers. We
Wow.
had 600
That
last year.
is more than I would have imagined.
Yeah, almost
That's
triple.
great.
Yeah, that's great. So I think more and more people are seeing the value of submitting entries to this contest. And then we include those entries in a newsletter, as Elizabeth said. Are you also going to publish those in the next magazine or not?
These winners will come in volume 17. So the volume 16 that's coming out at the end of this year, beginning of next year, we'll have last year's winners in it. So we're kind of a year behind
Okay.
on the
Yeah, well, that
contest
makes
winners.
sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
But we do the writing contest in the spring when it would generally correspond with when people would most likely be in Unit 7, Inventive Writing, because it is a prompt-based assignment. And so we're asking them to write from their own experience and imagination.
Right. Well, in the little bit of time that we have left, I would like you to share the names. And when we talk about names, Andrew, we're pretty careful about protecting students' privacy. In fact, I noticed that one of these submissions was written by Joel W., which could be my son.
I don't think it is, though.
But it is not, because my son is too old to submit this. But we do. So would you mind listing the names of our champions?
So level A, first place was Jillian McKenzie. Charlie was second place. Bruce was in third place. And Seth, honorable mention.
Honorable mention. And McKinsey is her middle name.
We don't use the last names other than their last initial.
Mm-hmm.
Level B, the first place winner was Jana O. Second place was Rose. Third place was Jaden. And fourth place was Leah. And then level C, first place was Annalise. Second place was Kale. Third place was Kaylin. And fourth place was Evelyn.
Well, congratulations to all of those students who received cash. Well, we didn't actually send cash in the mail, but they received a prize, the equivalent of cash through a check from IEW. But then the teachers also received a prize, the teacher of these students, and their prize was IEW store credit. So continue to do the great work of educating your students with perhaps your next level of IEW materials, or maybe your first. So that's very exciting. So the next question I have for you, and we really do need to wrap up with this. If I wanted to look back and see all the previous volumes of the Magnum Opus magazine, is that possible?
Absolutely. So on the website, there is a link where you can look at the previous e-newsletters, and those are set by category. You can also log in and see and request a copy of the current magazine, and you can see all of the previous digital magazines, print magazines, done digitally as well. So if you go to the website and you go to digital magazine, you can look at all of them. And if you go to newsletter, you can go by unit and look at all of the previous newsletters.
A great, incredible resource, Lizabeth, as you said, for teachers who are teaching IEW, but also for students to see, this one made the cut for Magnum Opus Magazine. Let me say that differently. MagnumOpusMagazine.com, because that's the website, or just to be able to enjoy it. I think this is a great resource. I would love to see my grandchildren turn in stories, because I would like to read them in print. Of course, they're a little young right now.
Well, it's true, but you're going to have to be careful that you don't tip the scales in their favor.
I do not read the submissions.
Yeah.
I don't.
Because I had some students enter.
Oh, nice, Andrew.
And they kept asking me.
Oh, right.
Like the very week after they entered. Who won? Did I win? And I had to tell them, I have no idea.
Right.
I don't do that. But it would be kind of cool to have a student that did get in without my knowledge.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you for all that you do for IEW, whether it's evaluating winners of our Magnum Opus Magazine or grading high school level classes for your online classes that you teach for us. And certainly during this time, because August is a really busy month for us, helping out in our customer support team. And especially, I think of our schools, Andrew. So many schools are ordering right now because classes start in the next week or two. And that's part of what Elizabeth does is she just does it all. She's a busy lady and very talented and super cheerful and enthusiastic. And we're just so grateful for you. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me today.
God bless you.
Thanks so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please subscribe to our podcast in iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify, or just visit us each week at iew.com/podcasts. Here you can also find show notes and relevant links from today's broadcast. One last thing, would you mind going to iTunes to rate and review our podcast? This really helps other smart, caring listeners like you find us. Thanks so much.